There are many types of audio compressors. We have the FET, we have optical, we have Barrymore, and today we're going to talk about the VCA compressors. These were made famous by SSL and the G Bus Comp that was incorporated into their 4000 series G consoles. And these kind of compressors are known as a glue compressor. Today we have the DIY recording equipment G Bus. We'll cover several topics today, including a description of the equipment and its connections, what each knob does. We'll hear examples on a drum bus and also on a mix bus, that is probably the most common use. And we also have the privilege of a brief interview with its manufacturer, Peterson Goodwyn, where he will share some nerdy information like how they build this compressor, what's a VCA compressor, what have they modded or added to this new version, and lots of cool things. Hi, my name is Piluso and this is my YouTube channel. I'm a music producer, mixer, and a songwriter. I invite you to be a part of this community by subscribing below. I try to share everything I know and things I'm testing out, and try to give you some examples on things that I make it as educational and comprehensive as possible. This is quite a new channel, so any support is more than welcome. You can support the channel by liking, leaving a comment, and of course subscribing. First, let's have a little bit of history. The SSL bus compressor, also known as the SSL G series bus compressor, it's one of the most iconic tools in the history of music production. Introduced by solid-state logic in the 1980s, this compressor was originally found in the SSL 4000 series consoles, a series of analog mixing consoles that revolutionized the professional audio industry. The SSL bus compressor was designed to be used on the main mix bus, providing cohesion and punch to the final mix. Its ability to glue all the elements of a mix together while maintaining clarity and punch quickly made it a favorite among mixing engineers and producers. And its classic design has been emulated in numerous plugins and modern hardware. Since we're talking about modern hardware, we're going to introduce Peterson Goodwyn. He's a great exponent of the DIY community and somebody who loves to teach, and he's a really great guy. And he's the founder of DIY recording equipment. And this is a brand that you can buy your own kits to build your own audio equipment, or you can also buy them pre-assembled. So, Peterson, what does VCA mean? What makes it different from other compressors?
A VCA is a voltage-controlled amplifier. It's basically a volume knob that, instead of being controlled by a hand, is controlled by a voltage. That's really all there is to it. And what makes it different from older technologies like FET, you've probably heard of FET compressors or opto compressors, is that they could control the gain much more precisely with a VCA. Now, what that allowed them to do was make much more transparent compressors where you couldn't hear the compression as much. What makes these console compressors unique is that they're actually not that transparent. They use a different type of circuit topology. It's a combination of feedback and feed forward to make a very smooth musical compression, but it's not as transparent as a VCA compressor can be.
How faithful are the components to the original circuit?
One of the biggest challenges in reproducing any vintage piece of gear is that the technology moves so quickly with electronic parts that the stuff they used to build these in the 80s hasn't been available for years and years. Now, you can maybe build one with old parts from eBay, but you can't make a full production run. It's just impossible. So what we did, what you have to do, is go looking for the stuff that currently exists, find the closest specifications you can, but then you really need to get it in the shop, on the bench, and listen and hear what sounds closest to the original. So we did that over the course of a couple years while we were designing this, making sure that every part we selected was not changing the sound or was as close as possible to the original. So that is how we arrived at every part that is in that compressor.
What modifications did you add to make it a different and updated version?
So the DIY community has developed several mods for this project, and some of them have become so popular that you actually see them now in like assembled units sold by big brands. Even SSL has put the filter the sidechain filter into their new bus compressors, which was not on the original console. So we've included the most popular of these, the filter, so you can control which frequencies trigger the compressor, a mono or stereo sidechain select. The original was stereo. The first DIY kit was mono. Some people liked it, so we've given you the ability to switch between both. A wet-dry mix control, and then finally the addition of output transformers. These give a different tonality to the sound. It's not accurate to the original, but you can switch it in and out if you want a little bit more color.
If you are liking this kind of content, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And now I'm going to show you some examples so you can hear how this compressor sounds. I'm going to compare it to a plugin, the Waves version that I think most of you have. Like I said before, we're going to do a drum bus and a mix bus. In the drum bus, I chose to use the drive feature and have a slow attack and a fast release. So we have the same drum track duplicated. One is going to be going through the analog compressor and one is going to go through the Waves plugin. Up here we have the analog version, the analog compressor, and down here we have the plugin version by Waves. And we're going to listen to the differences, turning one on, turning the other one off. First, we're going to listen to the original without any compression. This is how it sounded before. And now let's turn on the analog compressor and hear how it sounds. We can hear how the room grew. Like, it's something really cool from compression that sometimes you don't need reverb. Just compressing it, the room comes out and it gets a bigger drum sound. Without, as we can listen, here we have a huge dynamic difference between the toms and the snare drum. And if we turn the compressor on, we'll hear how it evens out. So only comparing the non-compressed to the compressed version, I really like the compressed version because it adds a beautiful effect of gluing everything together and adding that room. So now we're going to compare it to the Waves plugin and we're going to turn the analog on, then compare it to the plugin and vice versa and choose which one sounds best. So let's pay attention to the transient and the sustain of the kick, because I think that's where in the small details we can tell the difference between the analog and the plugin version. Obviously we're going to be threading through differences of like a 10% difference, but actually our work lies in that 10% difference. I feel like the plugin version sounds a little bit drier and with less sustain. If we pay attention to the kick drum, we can hear like a tone, and that tone feels a little bit longer in the analog version than in the plugin. Obviously listen to this with good monitors or proper headphones. The analog version, since it has all this circuitry inside of it, feels like the sound has a little bit more weight to it. I'm aiming to compress on this drum kit like 8 to 12 dBs on the snare drum and around 4 dBs with the kick drum. We have also activated the drive, like we can see, it's in 3. We have the sidechain filter turned off. We have quick release, slow attack. and a ratio of 4. We can try to take it to a ratio of 10 and see how it sounds, and also turn on the sidechain filter. Again, let's hear without compression. With compression. I love it. And on the mix bus, I chose auto release time and no drive at all. So now we're going to listen to this compressor with a mix. So I chose Slave to Your Skin as a song that is the first track on my album Blue. And I have the compressor set to reduce 4 dB in the chorus of the song, that is the loudest section. And it's a little bit more than what I use for mastering or mix bus. But we want to hear this compressor and how it acts. So we have the attack in 30, the slowest of all, the ratio in 4, and a release in auto, a little bit of makeup gain, and then we have the filter in 80 Hertz and the mix in 100% wet and the drive completely off. Let's listen to the song and turn on and off the compressor. Obviously, to put them at the same level is almost impossible since the compressor will be changing the dynamic. But I have the version of the mix without any kind of mastering on it. Without compression, with compression. At some moments I felt like the compression was a little bit too much, mainly with the background vocals, but I really like what happened in the verse where it started to compress a little bit less and we can hear the glue effect, and that made it sound a little bit tighter, and when I turned off the compression everything sounded a bit more loose. And it's not like one is good and the other one is bad. Sometimes it's nice to use a compressor for its tonal qualities, and sometimes we use compression to be able to gain more dBs and get more loudness. Now we're going to compare the analog version to the plugin version. Let's listen. So like I mentioned before, to be able to tell the difference between both of them, you have to listen on a good pair of headphones or a good set of speakers. But it's amazing what happens between the difference in the chorus going to the verse in the analog version versus the plug-in version. The analog kind of makes everything sound more even and more radio ready, and the plug-in sounds a little bit more like the mix and the differences in volume between the chorus and the verse. Please let me know what you think, and if you also tried other cool versions, leave them below. I would love to check them out. I hope you enjoyed this content. My name is Piluso. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll leave you other videos up here. I'll leave you a video on VCA compression, and I'll also leave you a video that I made for DIY recording equipment, testing out the color palette.